Well, hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for hanging out with me again today. And today is basically going to be a part 2 of the globe liner build. Things have moved, but there's still a lot of work to do. Basically, building the truck and building the trailer along with it. So the trailer was kind of put together before the frame. I just needed to build the accessories. So let me show you that real quick. So this does not look like it would take very long to do, but I've got hours into this one. So basically started out with a Toucan Hobbies flatbed trailer. It's a knockoff of the Tamiya flatbed trailer. They're almost identical. Hardware changes and a few variations of the way things are molded. Basically the same trailer. But for this one, I wanted a log truck or a log trailer, so had to kind of get inventive. So built the trailer, and then put on a deck of the RC four-wheel drive aluminum diamond plate just to cover up the decking so you can't see through the trailer the whole way, and mainly to cover up the top of the legs and the retract. So you have the switch underneath that will retract the legs, and you would have seen all that from the top, and there's really no good way of keeping that mechanism in place because it needs a deck on top. So put the decking on. That took a long time. You can do this with the plastic. It would be a whole lot quicker and easier with the plastic. I had the aluminum on hand and decided to go ahead and use it on this, but cutting it takes a lot longer. You got to file the edges, everything's sharp, and just getting it to work right took a while. So I had to basically cut it out and cover up these where the landing gear legs are. Then turn to the crossbars and the uprights, and didn't go perfectly well. You'll notice there's an extra hole in each one of those. That measure once, cut twice type thing. That's measure twice, cut once, but I always get that backwards. Basically, I needed to mark a center line, come over 3/4 of an inch or 19 millimeters roughly, and then do the same thing on the other side. But basically, I did 3/4 of an inch on one side and misread the tape and marked an inch on the other side. So missed it by that much. So had to come back and re-drill holes. Otherwise, everything went fairly well. Drilling the holes in the solid aluminum bar and tapping that was nerve-wracking. There was actually I had enough to make 5. And I figured if I made 5 and was successful, I could figure out how to put 5 on here. But I needed 4, so always make an extra. And which is good because I snapped off the drill bit in one of the aluminum bars. But they're on there nice and tight. I was a little bit worried about flexing and everything. But again, and I'm not going to be loading and unloading this thing. It's basically going to get a load of logs on there, get strapped down, and live there. Still a lot more work. Still more work to do on this. It needs to be, flattened out all the way around, and some things adjusted. I think my rear bumper is cockeyed, which is easy to fix. But I got to put the lights and get a battery holder and switch on here so I can just have tail lights on this. I'm not going to hook them up to the truck. I'm not going to go through all that nightmare. And then kind of weather it a little bit so it looks, like a logging truck and not a brand new logging truck. So now you guys kind of know the theme I'm going for. And the truck, it doesn't look a whole lot different than when you last saw it, but it has started getting some of the weathering on it. It's not all shiny and black and silver. It's got some dirt, and my wife laughed at me. She said, "What are you out there doing?" I said, "Spraying dirt on my truck." So, been weathering on this. Also been working on the truck body. Truck body's going slower than I hoped, but still working on that. And next step is to go ahead and get the bumpers on this, get all the lights, get all the wiring done, get everything hidden, and then I can kind of finish up with the weathering with the body on it, because you kind of got to tie everything together. Still haven't found a spring for my fifth wheel here, because I really want that to stick up when it's not attached to the truck, but small things. But yeah, it's going well. I got the RC four-wheel drive, steel wheels, and kind of an off-road tread pattern tire on there. What are these called? The Roadie. So it's not a full off-road big chunk square block tire like some of them would have. So actually, when I bought the wheels and tires, I was going to buy some of those big chunky road tires, or the off-road tires, but the sizes were just a tiny bit off, and I was like, nah, let's just go ahead and stick all the same size on here. But yeah, this still needs a whole lot more detail painting and weathering and stuff like that. But like I said, the body has to get on. I have working on the driver figure. I didn't realize that the driver figure didn't come with this truck. The Grand Hauler came with the driver figure, so I just kind of assumed this did, and really hadn't paid attention until I was like, where is the driver figure? And I'm tearing up the boxes and everything. Yeah, it doesn't come with one. So had to order the driver figure, got that in, working on getting him painted. He's about, I don't know, 75% done. Just got to kind of paint his hair, get his arms glued on once I can get kind of the cab on, dash and everything. So there's a lot of like do things and stop, and then wait and do things and stop, and wait and do things and stop, and then take things off and put things back on. But you know, it's kind of the adventure of building these big trucks. I'm not complaining at all. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and it's really, once the body's on, it's really going to look like kind of what I had in my head. And I'll give you guys that story once we get it wrapped up. But that's going to be it for today, guys. You know, I know it's not terribly exciting to see, you know, just kind of a partially dirty glow liner built and the log truck, but it is getting there. And so it's going to look pretty cool once, you know, the cab's on there, everything is tied together, you know, everything is weathered the same, and we got a load of logs on here, and it's rolling down the road. So looking forward to it. Like I said, I've been working on this as much as I can, and like I said, just stuff like this decking and these rails all just take longer than I expect. Seems like that's been my superpower these last couple years, is just severely underestimating the amount of time it actually takes to do projects. Anyway, guys, everybody out there, you guys be happy, be healthy, be safe, and have a great week. Take care, guys.